half square triangle units are fun to use, like we have in this little pinwheel piece. Today I'm going to show you the most popular method for making this unit. But be careful, it's not always going to work out the way you think. This popular method for making split half square triangles requires 4 squares of fabric. The 2 smaller squares are actually going to end up being the larger triangles in the quilt, and the 2 larger squares are going to be the smaller triangles in the piece. So we want pieces that are going to be 3 inches square in the finished quilt, 3.5 inches with seam allowances. So that means these squares are going to be cut 4.5 inches. So 1.5 inches larger than what you want your finished in the quilt piece to be. These squares are going to be 5 inches, so 2 inches larger. So we're going to begin with these two, the 2 smaller triangle, and on the back of the lighter color, we're going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. Then we're going to place these 2 right sides together, and we're going to stitch 1/4 inch away on both sides of that line. So once this stitching's been done, we're just going to cut right on the diagonal line into 2 pieces. So now you can take these pieces and open and press to have half square triangles. So now we're going to take one of the half square triangle pieces and one of the other solid squares that we started off with, and we're going to join these in the same way. On the back of a lighter color one, we're going to draw a diagonal line. Then we're going to place these right sides together, and then stitch 1/4 inch away on either side of that diagonal line. So once that stitching's done, we're going to cut them apart on the diagonal line. And then you can open and press. And I would press this toward the background triangle, the larger triangle, even if it's a lighter color, just because this seam will add a lot of bulk. Now that this is pressed, we're just going to trim it to square it up. And just like a half square triangle, we want to align our 45-degree angle line with the center seam. But one difference from a half square triangle is this block does have a center point right where all the 3 triangles meet. So we want to trim this to 3.5 inches so that it will be 3 inches in the finished piece. That means that that center point is going to be right on the 1 3/4 mark, because that's right in the middle of 3.5. So we'll line that up. Then we can rotate, trim that. And there we go. The extra trimming allows us to have a perfect result. So one of the reasons why this method is so popular is because you end up with 4 pieces. But notice that 2 of them are mirror images of the other 2. Now what this will mean is, if we put them together to make a pinwheel, you can see that these triangles are pinwheel, but the other triangles don't line up.
So you'll have to figure out whether or not that matters for your application. If these, the small triangle and the large triangle, are both background fabric and you just want this pinwheel, then that's probably not going to be a problem unless you're going to be in competition. If the other small triangles were going to give you a secondary design, then this might throw that off. So in that case, you might want to think about using a different method for this. But either way, this is a fun little piece and you can do a bunch of fun things with it. I hope you enjoy it. So what's good about this method for making split half square triangles? It's easy to do, it makes 4 at a time, and there's very little waste. What's not good about it? The trimming can be tedious, and it does make pairs in mirror images. So when would you use this method? Anytime that you don't mind the mirror image pieces, especially if you need a lot of these. This is a good method as long as you're not surprised by the mirror image, so I give it 4 out of 5 thimbles.